All you.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
My name is Ollie Cantos. I'm the councilman here in the city of West Covina for District 4. And so I am really excited not only just to be here today, but especially because all of you are here. This is our 9th quarterly meeting. Literally, since the time I came into office, we have them practically every quarter. And I'm just really excited. And thanks to Mario Sobovaro, we are now live streaming this meeting for the very first time. So people who aren't able to be with us, they will be able to ask questions online, and then those can be posed to all of us here and to me, and then we can also get questions answered. I also wanted to start off by also saying to all of you that I am springing for dinner. And so what I have here, and for those of you who are on Facebook Live, welcome. You can come. You can still come. So we're here. If people are online, you'll hear that there are kids who are really excited and they're playing. There are a number of baseball practices and games nearby. Little League is practicing nearby. And so what I'm really grateful to get to do is specifically for us today, you all can get a meal with fries and a drink. On me, I will take care of it. And so I have the menu here. Lisa has the other copy. So if I can get help in folks sharing this, and then I'm going to pass around this roll of tickets. So take a ticket for yourself. And then the snack bar is, I understand, it's to my left off that direction, over my shoulder, over my left shoulder. And all you have to do is show them the ticket, order, and then it'll go on my tab. So I wanted to do that because this is a dinner hour, and you are taking the time during dinner to be here, and I want to make sure to have you well fed. So thank you so much to Little League for their willingness to have us buy from them. Everything that's being bought, it's going to go to Little League. And I'm really excited for that because I like to patronize local businesses, and in this instance, because Little League is right here, I wanted to make sure to support them. So this is on me, and it's also my way of saying thank you to all of you for being here and for our ongoing dialogue that we have with one another. The next thing I wanted to do is to introduce the commissioners who are here, who I understand to be here. And if I missed anyone, please feel free to let me know. First, from our Planning Commission, Nick Lewis is here. Nick? And from our Community and Senior Services Commission, Betty Baez is here. And so, are there any other appointees, including from other council members or any other appointed officials who are here? I want to make sure to acknowledge you. Okay. So the next thing I wanted to do was to provide our commissioners with an opportunity to share with you whatever thoughts that they have from their respective roles, to give you any updates that they'd like to share, and then we will go from there. So first, I'm going to ask Commissioner Lewis to address us and to use the handheld mic that Mario has so that way folks online can hear. Thank you.
Oh, you're killing me, Ollie. Throw me out. Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Nicholas Lewis. I'm a planning commissioner, and I'm also the elected city clerk of the city of West Covina. So, for what it's worth, that's fun. It really doesn't do much of anything, but notwithstanding, want to do whatever I can as a planning commissioner. If anyone has any questions on any projects they have coming up or anything like that I can send out to city staff. Certainly happy to do that. Any concerns on that front, please let me know. Second, and I guess this is sort of a thing that is probably new to most people, but unfortunately, the City Council come Tuesday decided to put an item on the agenda, which seems to be aimed at our council members' appointees to Planning Commission. So, and in effect, it's going to allow a not-for-cause removal of any commissioner who is appointed by Ollie. Ultimately what that's going to mean is that you are going to have a smaller voice in this city. The only voice that you will have advocating for you will be Ollie. And that's a sad thing. Unfortunately, I've been around in this city long enough to see a situation where this happened before. It was not smart then, and at that point in time, I was technically, quote unquote, with the majority. I don't know if whatever you want to say, but I told them it was a bad idea at the time. They didn't listen to me, and guess what? You have the current political iteration of the nonsense that you have now. I bring this up to you because it's a really scary time. Not only are you also being limited to 3 minutes to address the city council, you're also losing voices. And mark my words, this is going to happen. So I'm out here just saying, I'm going to call their bluff. Go right ahead, do it. At the end of the day, I am the only person here who can say that I received the most votes in the history of this city. Okay, as the elected city clerk, I received over 19,000 votes in the last election. Most council members only received around 2,700 votes. And guess what? I'll be on the chopping block. So will Betty. Betty has been a treasure to this community. A treasure. And it is disgusting to me that this is something that our city council is considering doing. I mean, at this point in time when we have such a divisive society, we shouldn't be in a position where we are going through and stomping on any sort of minority voices. And the thing is that I don't really have a minority voice in this city. I mean, fundamentally, my positions on things are not so different from those who oppose Ollie. It's just, for whatever reason, I think he's upset the powers that be, and that's a very sad thing. It's a very sad thing, and it's a referendum on the intestinal fortitude of the people in charge of this city, and that's sad. It's very sad, and I urge you to spread the word. Go to City Council on Tuesday and tell them what a bad idea this will be, because I'll be there. And I will complain about it because ultimately it doesn't matter to me. I've served my city proudly for the last 16 years as a commissioner and as an elected official. But I'm telling you, this is, I can move on. I have a day job. It's not the end of the world to me if I'm not a planning commissioner. Okay? I'm not a small person. I'm 6'4", so I'm pretty big, but notwithstanding, I don't have any issue where the city is my life and everything about it is existential to me. So ultimately, if I'm put on the chopping block, good, great, I don't care. But I think it should concern every resident here because Ollie gets to choose who he wants to be a voice for you guys on the various commissions. And that's something that has been a right for council members for a very long time. It's sad that we're going back down a road that ended up being taken away. I believe it was back in 2015. The city council put it back to the current situation, and now we're going to go back full circle to that nonsense, where there will be no minority voice on any issue. It will be all, hey, let's all go along to get along, and that's that. And ultimately, good luck, everyone, when you go to council meetings and you use a little bit of profanity. You know what's going to happen? You're going to be removed. That's the bottom line. We can't say, this is effing ridiculous. We can't say that. That's sad. That's sad to me. Ultimately, impassioned political speech is welcome and should be welcomed in this country, and we're going backwards in this city. Why that is beyond my understanding. Beyond my understanding. It's crazy to me, and again, I apologize, I'm taking a lot of time talking about this issue, but the First Amendment is something that unites this country. And, we may hear plenty of things in this world that we don't want to hear. I know I hear a lot of crazy stuff at the dais when I'm sitting up there as a planning commissioner. But at the end of the day, people have a right to say it, and they should continue to have a right to say it. And the fact that this city council is going backwards on that and reducing the amount of time that people have to address the city council, as well as the planning commission, that's not a good state of affairs. They're not doing anything to improve the community as it stands. And I think that to me just, it breaks my heart, because this city is a city I chose to live in. I could have gone anywhere else, okay? But I chose to live here. I'm a third generation resident of this city. My grandparents raised their children here, and they chose to live here. My parents chose to live here. I choose to live here. And the only reason I choose to live here is because I believe in this community. And honest to God, I believe that everybody in this community who would ever run for office actually held those values. I'm concerned that we're getting away from that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And just so you all know, I was a no vote when it came to these issues, especially when it came to the move by other colleagues on council and approved by everybody else by a vote of 4-1 to allow commissioners to be removed even without cause. That's just frightening to me. We've had a long-standing tradition of respecting whatever appointments we each make. But by this move, if it were to pass, it will mean that if they don't like any of my appointees, then all they have to do by a vote of 4-1 is to eliminate them, which therefore removes any autonomy that I have. And I'm going to say here for the record that if that is the case, that I consider that to be an act of aggression that I will not back down from. If they do anything to pass that, then it's war. Because the fact is that I will not stand quietly and allow them to take away the way that I govern. And that includes making sure that we have all the support that we need. That also includes making sure we have staff at our district meetings. It includes optimizing opportunities for staff to engage with the community. It also means that there should be no efforts behind the scenes to undermine whatever I try to do. In other words, whenever we've had these district meetings, whenever others on council have chosen not to have main meetings, I haven't said a word. That's up to them, that's their latitude. But what I have chosen to do from the time when I ran for office was to hold these meetings and to allow us to have ongoing engagement, not only with staff, but with me directly, and for me to hear all of the things that the concerns that people have. To me, that is part of our responsibility as civil servants, basically, or as servants of the community, where we have to be willing to hear the tough stuff. And that includes if people are happy with me or unhappy with me. I need to be here for everybody. That includes whenever people have come to me from throughout the city who have made specific requests where I have worked to help them, knowing that they have not supported me and are not likely to support me. In other words, my personal philosophy when it comes to governance and supporting the entire city is that I will help everyone. It doesn't matter if they want to vote for me, it doesn't matter if they vote against me, or they feel that they want to support somebody else. They can do whatever they want. But as long as I have this seat, my responsibility is to support everybody, not just those who say that they like me. And so that's been my philosophy. And so when it has come to all of my appointments, I retain every single appointee because they go to all of the meetings. Henry Torres has been really wonderful with human resources, with committee there, and then Betty Baez as well as Sherry Fisher. They've been in active attendance with their responsibilities. Nick Lewis, the same thing. And so what I look for in any appointee is people having the willingness to stand up for what they believe in and for them to be on the lookout for the rest of us. I do not micromanage any of the commissioners who continue to remain in office because I choose to keep them there. I want them to express themselves, and to me that's a part of healthy governance, where it is a matter of making sure to not only to show confidence in whoever we appoint or I appoint, but also to give them the latitude to exercise their judgment, and then to allow them to fulfill their role, and that's essentially it. And that's what I've done, and that's my philosophy. And so with any move to change these efforts, we've got to make sure that for those who are opposed to this, that voices are loud and clear. And I'm going to absolutely be a no vote for any efforts to change this by having appointees removed for any reason, even without cause. That is madness. And that is not something I will support. That is just not going to be allowed to stand. We have got to make sure, for all of us, wherever we are in the city, we must make sure to stand up for what's right. I have worked hard to do that, and I really am eager for us to continue to join forces to make sure to make the kind of city that we can all be proud of, and that necessarily also includes making sure not to play games. And so I've been a straight shooter with everybody. There have been times that I've expressed thoughts that people don't agree with, but I still am transparent with whatever I think. And the thing is, the other thing that is important is I make sure that everybody, whenever their concerns brought to my attention, I will always work to help carry the water for whatever that is as best as I can, and I've been doing that consistently. So with that, I'd like to see if Betty Valles would like to say anything.
Oh, it was quite a surprise what Nick had to say. And it's quite a surprise what Nick had to say. I was shocked. I wasn't prepared to speak, but I will tell you one thing. As far as community services and senior citizens, those people that are voting to have us removed, those people, their commissioners, will not appear, will not attend the community services meeting. We haven't had a meeting in the community services senior citizens since, let me think, since November, because we haven't had a quorum. There's one lady, I don't even know who she is. Her name is there. I think I saw her a couple of times. And that is it. So I can understand why they would like to remove your commissioners, because it seems that we're the only ones that do not go along with the opinions of those other people. I'm not going to mention names. You people know who they are. So I am very surprised. I will support you in whatever I can now, Ollie. You know that. And this has been a mess, and I keep saying, where is Mike Tui? Where is Steve Herford? Where is Sherry Lane? Those people were the people that really kept the city going. And, of course, the group were dissatisfied with them. So anyway, Ollie, I will start attending the meetings. I do see the council meetings on my TV because of my issues. I don't drive anymore, and I can hardly see. My vision is very poorly, but I will try to attend the meetings and start speaking out more loudly for the city. I am very concerned with what's happening. Thank you, Ollie. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And so I wanted to now, I'm really excited, turning to another topic, that we have folks here from fire and from our police department. So Matt Nelson, I understand, is here, and I didn't hear who else was here from fire. Who else was here? Oh, great. Well, thank you guys for being here. So I'd like to turn over the time respectively to each of you to share whatever thoughts you have about what's happening around the city from your respective vantage points. Matt first?
All right, I'll come up first.
You're going to have to forgive me. I'm going to have to use my non-gun hand for this. So I'm not sure where to look. What do I do with my hands? Do I go here? I'm going to go over here since you're the live audience. But for you guys zooming in, feel free to ask any questions that you want. I'm happy to do that. But just to give you a little bit of background and more to say thanks to Betty and Nick and Ollie. We've all worked together collectively for the past couple of years, pretty much always since you were appointed to council, right?
It's elected, yeah.
So it's been a great, almost 3 years it seems like it's gone
flown by. So Ollie and I have had a really unique relationship in the fact that my service area within our city falls basically everything south below Francisquito all the way to Valley Boulevard. And Ollie and I have worked a lot together with what we like to call a community-based, community-oriented policing, which basically means that we do a lot of outreach, whether it's with our local businesses, with our neighborhood watch groups. What I'm trying to do and what our chief's vision, Chief Cortina, is we're just trying to establish a consistent pulse within the community. I want to know what problems we're all faced with, and at the same time, how can we eradicate them and just make quality of life better for everybody. I can't necessarily always answer for everything that's going on in society, so forgive me for that, because I don't have every answer to every question. But what I can say is I'm going to put 110% of my effort, and all of our officers are going to do the same thing to make the community safer. That a little bit better? Sorry. See, Nick's my man looking out for me. He's been looking out for me. I've got to hold it up a little bit more. See, I'm just not used to this. I'm used to going down here at the ready. So anyway, I work behind a desk most of the time. I'm not really much of a police officer anymore. That's a young man's game. But it's fun to wear the uniform, right? But more importantly, does anybody here have specific questions about the areas that you're living in within this area? Your service area Lieutenant Rogers couldn't be here tonight, but I told him I'd be here in his absence. So if there's anything I can do for you directly tonight or relay to him, I'm happy to do that. Does anybody have anything going on within their neighborhood, within their schools, within the park here that you have concerns or questions about? I always like to open it up. I know we talked a little bit earlier about the street vendors. That's been resolved? Okay, perfect. Anything that you want to touch on, Nick, that we've discussed in the past?
You know, I think the last time we had a discussion about what was going on at Woodgrove and
Yes.
what's the update on that?
At Woodgrove Park?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Ollie's actually probably got a little bit more information than I do, but what I can say is that the park itself is a lot of the hillsides have been cleared off of the brush, correct?
Yes.
And then you're also allocated some funds to put better play equipment in the last time I remember that. So I think the overall quality's gotten a lot better. I personally haven't received as many complaints. I think the recurring issues that we have there, which is unfortunately around some of the other parks, is quality of life when it comes to folks that are homeless, and sometimes when we deal with graffiti. The best way for us to deal with graffiti is if and when you see it, you can use our West Covina Help app. You can take a picture of it and it uploads immediately. But if you don't have that technology, you can always call our dispatch center directly and just let them know specifically where it's at, and we'll be happy to do that. We usually get that cleaned up within 24 hours. If it's on the weekend, sometimes there's a little bit more of a delay. The three things I deal with the most as a service area lieutenant are graffiti, homeless, and speeders. Just general traffic complaints, which at face value might sometimes, for a typical person, be like, oh, those are minuscule. Actually, those are the most important, impactful things that happen in the community on a daily basis. Are our kids safe? Are there people speeding through the neighborhoods? Is the graffiti intimidating the residents, which is not acceptable at all? And are there some homeless challenges that we're faced with? So those are the three types of things that we're trying to work on constantly.
Has the homeless issue improved, or are we still having it?
In my opinion, it has within our city, because we have a lot of different resources at our disposal. And we also have an actual homeless outreach program where 2 officers are dedicated to that throughout the week to give people different options. Some folks don't want our help, and we'll offer them help, and then after that, sometimes we have to go a little bit further and take enforcement. But we always try to give people options so that we can get them help for not only housing challenges, but more importantly, substance abuse, which is generally where it's all stemming from nowadays. So that's a great question. Did it kind of answer that?
Yeah, thank you.
Perfect.
Matt,
Anybody else?
Do you have any update on what's going on at 5-Star Inn over on Darby, and whether or not we're having less calls for service over the last few weeks and months?
From my vantage point as a watch commander, we haven't been there a whole lot, which is a good thing. But I'm always trying to keep eyes open, ears open about that. If you folks see any problems within that corridor between Barranca and Citrus, whether it's quality of life of homeless, whether it's possible narcotics activity, please let us know, because the last thing I want is anything to get out of hand. To answer your question specifically about the 5-Star, I don't know the inner workings of what's going on as far as folks that are being allowed rooms there, but I know we haven't had as many complaints, so that's a good thing.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
How about the Old Town corridor, perhaps Glendora Avenue.
Yeah.
How
So
is that
obviously there's
looking
been
now?
some activity going on there. We're going to have the Spring Festival starting on Saturday, and we're going to have a lot of force presence out there amongst the police and fire departments, so we don't anticipate any issues. But just like anything else, when you're out there having fun with your families, if you see anything that's going on that doesn't look right, please let us know. We're going to have our bike patrol units out there. We're going to have people on foot patrols, and there's going to be a lot of different folks from our public safety department that are out there as well. So it should be a great weekend, and we're going to enjoy the downtown Glendora area. So, and I believe it's starting around 11 in the afternoon, concluding 10 o'clock at night on Saturday. Same hours on Sunday, except it's going to end a little earlier, around 8 p.m. So 2 full days of fun for everybody within the community. Anybody else have any questions? Yes, sir.
I've been to a homeless camp in the Galveston Park,
Oh.
It was kind of hiding it, it's not in the park, it might be outside the park. It's down, walk the pathway, and I walked the pathway, and then I ran into all this junk all the way around.
Oh, my.
It's over there.
Well, if I could talk to you after the meeting concludes, and you could show me specifically on my map, that way I can get some officers out there to take a look at it, and we'll get it eradicated.
It's kind of hidden in, but it's
Yeah.
and then I know I see Damien was up on the top, They're defeating everything anyways.
Yeah.
They're hiding up there. So.
Okay. Well, let's make sure that we touch base after this is over, and you can kind of show me specifically where you were and what you saw. Perfect.
What does happen to graffiti if they're caught? Is that a citation, or how is that working
Depends
out?
on their age. There's a lot of different things. So about from 2009 to about 2012, I was part of a graffiti abatement team. And I don't know if you've kind of seen different crime trends. You've been a part of the community for a long time. So it was kind of on a downtick for a while. Then COVID hit. And since then, graffiti's kind of been on the uptick again. So we're always trying to evolve with the times. And nowadays, the graffiti itself, we're getting a little bit more teeth back to enforcement as far as our newly elected DA and different things that go on about that. So if you're an adult and you commit a vandalism that's more than $400 worth of damage, it's a felonious offense. If it's less than $400, it's considered a misdemeanor. Now, if a juvenile commits it, generally speaking, they're going to be cited on a citation to a parent or responsible guardian. An adult, depending on the the damage amount, they might be held for bail or through their arraignment. It just kind of depends. But long story short, as soon as we're notified of it, notification gets made for it to be eradicated, to be cleaned up, and then we're going to hold them responsible. And when I was walking in here, I saw a couple of small graffiti tags over on the south side of the football snack bar there. So what's going to happen with that is we're going to have an officer come out here, take a crime report so that we're aware of it statistically speaking, and then if there's any workable leads, later on we can hold that person or persons responsible for the damage that they did. We have a cost formula that's based upon restitution that holds them responsible for that. So anything small that you see, don't just think that it doesn't matter to us. We want to know about any and all tags that occur in our city, because then we can eradicate them. We can take a crime report and hold people responsible for them later on.
So we don't call the code enforcement then? The city's code enforcement?
Well, the city's code enforcement will help with the cleaning of it, but for the criminal statistic purpose, it would be through the police department.
So it's best to call then the police?
It is, yeah. One way or another, as long as you notify somebody, if you make notification on the application through your smartphone on the City of West Covina application, that's really good, because then it gives you the ability where you are. If you're on a walk and you see it, you can literally photograph it. It uploads your exact location, and then we're notified of it even sooner. So that's a really great feature, but not everybody, carries their phone all the time with them. So you can always call our dispatch center to report it too. But later on, like if you go for a walk or go to do errands and you don't have your phone with you, you can always tell us later on. We just want to know about it, bottom line. Any other questions? No? Jim? Or I'm sorry, Ollie, did you have anything else? No?
Thank you so much. Jim.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for inviting us to be out here. We've got a great working relationship with public safety. Police and fire do a lot of the same things. A lot of the incidents that they go out on, we go to assist. A lot of the incidents we go out on, they come to make sure that we're safe on location. I'm going to talk a little bit about the fire department in general. A lot of you probably know some of the things that I'm going to say in terms of the statistics and the coverage of the city. But for some people it might be a new thing or just a refresher. We have 5 fire stations that cover the city of West Covina. A lot of people forget that West Covina goes all the way down to Valley Boulevard in the southeast corner, and go all the way up Plenty and close to Riverdale Avenue at the northwest corner. We cover the 17 square miles of the city with those 5 fire stations. And tonight we're happy to be right here in the backyard of Fire Station 2. It's one of our newest buildings as a fire station. It's been a long-term time fire station. They were established pretty much in the numerical order that you find them. Station 1 was the first, Station 2 was the second, 3 was the third, and so on all the way up to Station 5. But in terms of actual buildings, this is our newest one. There's 23 firefighters that are staffing every day. We work a 48-hour shift. We're on 2 consecutive 24-hour days before we go home. And it takes 3 shifts in order to cover the 365 days a year, 24 hours a day staffing for the city. We are a full-service fire department. Fire is, of course, in our name. But we go out on medical aid calls, we go out on technical rescue, we go on hazmat calls, we go on traffic accidents, people trapped. Just about any time someone needs some help, injured, or just don't know what to do, they usually call the fire department, and we have some type of solution for them. Like I said, we have a great program with the police department. We do have firefighter paramedics that are embedded with the SWAT team so that they have ready medical service, and they are actual qualified members of that SWAT team so that they can go and do the entries along with the police officers. If you've been out and about maybe the last couple of days or so, you may have seen some of our units at the Walnut Wash and Hollenbeck, or the Walnut Wash in Cameron, because we do wash rescues. Fortunately, they're not a common thing, but we are trained in wash rescues, technical rescue, and we carry the equipment on the engine companies so that if someone were to fall in the wash, purposely or not purposely, and float down during the heavy rain season or when they're releasing water from Brittenstone Dam, we can pick them out hopefully safely and give them some treatment afterwards. Also some key training that's been going on for the fire department. Today we hosted an urban search and rescue drill at our public works yard there on the corner of Sunset and Cameron. That was a region-wide drill. So we do a lot of training within the region so that we know how to work with some of the other fire departments in the area. And today West Covina hosted simulated earthquake with technical rescue and fire crews coming from the Area E fire departments, Santa Fe Springs, Downey, Wahaba Heights, and those fire departments came to West Covina and participated with our crews. And then just a couple of weeks ago, the police department and the fire department hosted a law enforcement drone symposium up at our West Covina Sportsplex. So we're always looking to up our skills in new developments and new technologies, and of course unmanned aerial aircraft, otherwise known as drones, are a common thing that are now being used by the police departments and the fire departments in order to do mapping or do assessments at different events. And the City of West Covina hosted the symposium on drones, had training, and it was participated in. We had people participating from a number of local fire departments and police departments, mainly law enforcement, and also from the federal government, the FBI, and ICE, and some of those other agencies. So maybe at this time I'll open it up for any particular questions you might have about the fire department. Just know that we're out there always to serve. We do medical response. We have paramedics, and we have ambulance transports as part of our equipment that we can go out to people's homes.
A question on the drones.
Yes.
Are you guys running the FLIR thermals by any chance to check for hot zones, in particular like from summer? Is that part of the setup of those?
We are. The FLIR is an infrared camera that's usually mounted on the drones, and we've used them the last couple of seasons, fire seasons, in order to map out a fire, some of the larger campaign fires that we go out on. We can fly them and map the perimeter of the fire to know where it's burning and make some planning for the next day. And then a lot of times we use the FLIR, especially with the police department, to identify if there's a suspect out there, or maybe a lost child that we can't see because it's dark. We can fly the drone and we'll pick up their body heat with that infrared camera and be able to spot where they are.
I have a question on your insurance.
Yes.
All right, this has happened to me.
Okay.
I had the paramedics come over to my house, and they wanted to transfer me to the hospital, but they would only transfer me to the Queen of the Valley. And I didn't want to go to the Queen of the Valley. I wanted to come to the inner community because this was a cardiac issue that I had. Well, therefore, they would bring me. So my good friend, right here, she was the one that brought me to the hospital. In the meantime, I get this bill for $298 for not using the paramedic. Why is it that I had to pay that much when they didn't even do anything? I mean, nothing. That was the first time. The second time I did the same thing because she saw me in a very poor condition, and her husband really advised me to call the paramedics again. So I called the paramedic, the same issue happened. So I had to pay again the $289. Now the first time, I didn't pay them because I was asking, I was trying to find out, why do I have to pay? You know, they didn't do anything to me or for me. Anyway, by this time they transferred my bill to the bill collector in where is it? Sacramento. I think it's Sacramento where your agency is at. They wanted $300, almost $400. In the meantime, I spoke to Sherry, and so she said there was nothing they could do, but if I paid that $298, whatever it was, that I wouldn't have to pay that. But the insurance, that company, was giving me a rough time. They kept insisting no, you know, and I said, I've already paid the bill. Anyway, that was, so I even had to call Steve Hartford, and he advised me what to do, and he was the one that helped me, but I did pay the $298 each time. Why do we have to do that?
Well,
First of all, why won't they, from when they go to your home and it's a cardiac issue, why can't they bring it to the inner community?
we do have a couple of questions in there, and so we'll address them. We'll start with that one. So all the hospitals are heavily impacted by people coming to them for their primary care. So a lot of the hospitals go on what's called diversion, and they can't take care of any more patients because the nurse-to-patient ratio is possibly too high. Maybe they don't have that particular expertise that day because the doctor didn't report them. Whatever it happens to be, we have knowledge because we talk to them via the radio when they are on diversion. And usually that's what causes us to not be able to transport somebody to the hospital that they want to go to. Or oftentimes we get the request, hey, I have this particular insurance, my insurance is only going to cover this hospital, can you take me there? And we try to honor those as many times as we can, but oftentimes, more often than not lately, due to COVID and high flu rates, we can't take you to the hospital that you want. And that was probably the case where they couldn't transfer you to ICH, because that's one of the hospitals that we commonly take people to. Queen of the Valley is open more often and not on diversion than any of our other hospitals that we deal with. That's only because they have a larger emergency room and larger staffing. And they're expanding it right now. So Queen of the Valley is going to be definitely one of the largest emergency rooms in the East San Gabriel Valley. And so they are less likely to go on diversion, and they may be our only opportunity. Now your question next is probably, well, how come my friend can take me to ICH, but the paramedics can't take me to ICH? Well, it's because of that contact that we have with the hospitals. The hospitals can tell us, whoa, 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 no more ambulances on our back bay. But a hospital can't turn you away if you're a private citizen and you show up on their back doorstep. And that's why oftentimes your options to go to the hospital that you want to, as long as the paramedics know that you are stable medically, that it may be family members taking you to that hospital. Now the cost. Medical aid is not free in West Covina. That was decided a number of years ago and passed by the council. But there's different levels that you may receive medical care. The basic level, where you have the firefighters come out and do a medical assessment, is $289. And that's the fee that you were charged in both those cases, because you had the medical assessment. And you said that they did nothing, and that's probably because they didn't transport you to the hospital that you wanted to go to. But I can guarantee you that they did something while they were there. Blood pressure, possibly oxygen, EKG.
They didn't do any
The
of that.
basic fee, no matter what, if they show up to do a medical assessment, is $289. If you get transported, it's a lot more than that. Ambulance transport fees run over $1,000. Some are as high as $2,500, depending on how far you get transported and how much ALS care is provided to you by the paramedics. The option for that is our ambulance subscription program. The ambulance subscription program is enforced here in West Covina, and that covers your out-of-pocket costs. Now, we still bill your insurance company, but if you have a copay, or you have a deductible, or you don't have insurance at all, for $71.21 a year, you can have ambulance subscription coverage. And that would cover the $289 that they came out and just did an assessment and didn't transport you, and it would cover the ambulance bill, whatever you were on the hook for due to your insurance not covering it, it would cover that also. $71.21. It's like that additional insurance that you might purchase if you wanted your interior telephone lines covered by the phone company, or you wanted your water line covered by the water districts. It's that little additional insurance to cover anything above what your insurance doesn't take care of. $71.21 is probably well worth the investment. If you ever have a problem with billing companies or trying to understand why you were billed, by all means, call Fire Administration, because we have the records. We may not be able to pull them up when you call immediately, but we'll take the information about what your concern is and research it and get back to you with an answer. It may not be the solution you're looking for, but at least we'll explain why it is.
No, Sherry was very, very helpful. She was very helpful.
Sherry in the fire administration?
Yes.
Yeah, Sherry also.
She was very helpful, very.
Quick question on the insurance. We were reading up on it. The $71, from my understanding, covers the household, not necessarily the individual person, correct?
Correct. So it covers everybody in your house. So if you have a family of 8 and you have people that are routinely calling because there may be a diabetic and they need 911 medical service on a regular basis, that covers everybody in the house.
But that still, they will only take you to the hospital that they're assigned to. Am I correct?
Well, we try to accommodate everybody's wishes as to where they be their
See,
transport.
that's not what they told me. See, that's why I was very upset. I was very upset because I've used them before. When my husband was still around, he constantly would phone. And I would call, and they would just come and help me, and they would say, they were so polite, and they would say, don't even try to attempt to pick him up. You're going to get hurt if you do. And they would just come and pick him up, and it was that, you know. No, they were very courteous, but when it came to me, that was totally a different story.
Well, maybe after this, I can get information about what they do.
Yeah. Well, it's already a couple of years that passed.
Well, we want to correct things.
You said that covers everybody in the house?
Yes.
Yeah, the household coverage.
That includes
It's not
the
available to
gas?
businesses.
You have a guest that's at your house?
Covers your guests also.
And that's annual, whenever you pay the fee, correct?
That's right. When you pay the fee, it runs a full calendar year from that point.
Right.
Yes.
Would you touch base on how the fire hydrants are tested?
Sure. Yeah. There's a lot of interest in fire hydrants from what happened with Palisades Fire. City of West Covina has 8 water companies that serves the citizens and serves the hydrants. So your water company that you pay for your water coming into your house is the company that's probably supplying the hydrant closest to you. All the water companies are responsible for testing their hydrants. They're governed under the American Water Works Association, the California Public Utilities Commission. When we do ISO grading for the city, the hydrants and the water systems that we deal with are a completely different grading than what the fire department is. But it's an important component of it, and so it's thoroughly looked at by the insurance services offices for that type of grading. The City of West Covina happens to have combination systems, so we have gravity-fed systems, so we keep the pressure up due to gravity being fed, water being fed from the water tanks that you see up on the hillsides. And then we have pumping systems so that we can pump groundwater and or water that's stored at ground level so that we get the pressure up. City of West Covina, we are routinely out there flowing hydrants, usually in training. We flow hydrants in all the different districts so that we know which ones are always working. We've never had a problem in West Covina. We have very good pressure everywhere. Dealing with the 8 water companies, they've all been very cooperative if we have any type of issue with the hydrants. And most of the time, when people report a hydrant being out of service, it's usually just a damaged thread on the coupling because someone backed into the hydrant. But most hydrants, even though that might be marked for repair, most of the hydrants have 2 outlets, so that if you can't use one, we can usually use the other. Even though it's on somebody's list that is out of service and needs repair is actually still usable. The water companies have cross connections, so if one water company happens to have an issue, maybe during an earthquake, they have a pipe break, we have cross connections so that we can bring water from the other adjoining water companies so we can provide water to pipelines.
How safe is the Gallister Park? There's a lot of shrubbery there.
So we're always concerned about excessive growth, and any of our hillsides we're concerned with. And it was mentioned earlier the clearing that's gone on around Woodgrove Park. Fortunately, with Gloucester Park, we have homes on the west side, homes higher up on the east side, but we have a huge fire break that's called the BKK area on the south side. And so the potential is there, but the threat to homes is minimal.
There's sufficient water there. I used to live around there.
Yeah. So there are, in Gloucester Park, there are 2 hydrants. Yeah, so there's one down in the lower parking lot area, and then there's one on the upper parking lot area, and then there's actually, if you ever hiked Gloucester Park, about halfway up to what they call the Girl Scout camp, there's a dry hydrant up there where we can pump water to that place if we're doing hose lays in order to fight the fire from somewhere in the middle of the park.
One question from online here. Jay Meter asks, will bills be sent out for renewal of the household 911 service? Says we have had to initiate who and how to pay. So that's is landline 911 service, is that being charged now, or do you have any information on that?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Okay.
Any other questions?
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Actually, 2 quick questions. One, I've heard some, I don't know, I would call these sort of horror stories about people calling 911 and being left on hold or having very bad experiences with dispatchers. I know we've contracted out to somebody in Central California. Have you heard if service has improved, or have you heard anything about level of service or anything like that on dispatching?
So I've heard those stories also, but every instance that I've heard of has usually been some big metropolitan area where the 911 call got dropped or got delayed or got misrouted. Okay. I'm not aware of any in West Covina. Are you talking about?
I heard some stuff about that happening here.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Again, it hasn't happened to me, knock on wood. I hope it never happens to me or anyone, but I had heard it was potentially a problem, and I just wanted to know if you guys had anything to say about that.
Well, for a while there, and smartphone technologies helped us out a lot with this. For a while, 911 phone calls from your cell phone would grab a tower and not necessarily be relayed to your closest dispatch center. So you could, especially when you're on the freeway, the 911 calls would be grabbed by the cell phone towers there and wouldn't know to go to the public safety answering point in West Covina, and you'd get the public safety answering point for the CHP, which could be either Los Angeles or Fresno or Sacramento. And so that would put you on hold until they could get a chance to direct your call to the closest dispatch center that could actually dispatch West Covina. Now that is improving because of smartphone technology and the fact that they're able to now route most of the cell phone calls to the closest public safety answering point. But I still caution, if you're using your cell phone to call 911, there's a chance that you may not be routed directly to West Covina as your public safety answering phone. We used to tell, and because of technology, we don't publicize this as much. But there still is a 10-digit number to call our dispatch center. 626 area code, because that's the local one. 939-8500. And that will get you to our police and fire dispatch center here in the West Covina. And so you can always program that into your phone. Police fire 626-939-8500, and that will directly dial into our dispatch center versus using 911. The 911 is getting very good. The technology is really catching up really fast to make sure that those 911 calls are directed to the closest public safety answering point. The other issue was that almost a year ago, our fire dispatch center has transferred to Verdugo, which is a cooperative group that the dispatch out of the Glendale area to handle a number of fire departments in the San Gabriel Valley and the San Fernando Valley and dispatch particularly fire units. Your 911 call initially goes to our dispatch center, and this is not uncommon in LA County. They'll ask, do you need police or fire or medical? Once you decide that you need, or tell them that you need medical or fire, the call is immediately transferred to Verdugo, and our fire department is dispatched out. If for some reason you need police, they are dispatched out of our dispatch center, and when that officer goes in the field, he is talking back and forth to the dispatch center there next to City Hall. For us, because fire were dispatched out of Verdugo, when we are out on a call, we call, if we're talking to the dispatcher, getting additional information from the dispatcher, we would be talking to a dispatcher in Glendale. Because of technology, computers, CAD, computer-aided dispatch, it's a seamless transition. You can essentially be, and you mentioned, I think, Sacramento or something like that. You could be remote and get those same signals at lightning speed and transfer that information over a radio. As you hear my radio going off right now, there's dispatches going on for our fire department and other fire departments, and we get the information that we need to go out and find you and assist you, and the police department also. And that's mainly because there's just more 911 calls, and there's more calls for service for both the fire and police. It's overwhelming for a small dispatch center to take care of all of it, and that's why that was separated.
I have one other quick question, and it may not be a quick question, but it's perhaps something to think about. You know, I don't know how much our fire department gets involved in fire prevention, but one of the things that came out recently, I believe it was earlier this week, CAL FIRE had its risk assessment map come out, and I'm sure everybody saw it, and it certainly implicated much of our hillside, if not all of it, and some of the adjoining neighborhoods. What, if anything, are you guys looking at potentially doing to address and mitigate the potential risks and, frankly, help all of us who've seen our homeowners insurance go up or get canceled outright, moving forward?
Yeah, so that's a great point. So the map that Nick is talking about is on the CAL FIRE website, and it's a map, very colorful, yellow, red being the highest fire danger area, showing all the state and where those high fire areas are. The map that recently was released is from 2023. The one before that was about 15 years old. And you can imagine that for wildland fire in any particular area, we're concerned about the hillsides and the growth on the hillsides. We already talked about that a little bit here. And so for our map, if you haven't seen it yet, we're talking about the area that pretty much starts in San Dimas over by Covina Park, because we've got mountains, beautiful mountains as you go by Kellogg Hill, and you come up and around, and it meets the San Jose Hills as we go behind me here and over to BKK. And then the other night we were at a neighborhood watch meeting over on Azusa, and the topography starts to kind of dive off there as you get over towards Lark Ellen. So most of that hillside is colored on this map as a high fire hazard. What has changed is from 15 years ago to the most frequent map, or the most recent map, is that there's been a lot of development in these areas. And so a lot of the brush was cut, either to put roadways or new homes or pads out there or recreation facilities and parks and like that. And so the high fire hazard for West Covina has actually been reduced. So you need to go to your insurance agent and wave that new map maybe in your face in order to get your rates to go down. I don't know if that'll work or not, but hopefully it will.
It doesn't, I can tell you.
But the idea is that there is less area in West Covina that's marked as a high fire hazard. Now, whether you live in that high fire hazard or not, we always talk about defensible space around homes. If you go also to CAL FIRE website, it shows you what kind of plants you should plant adjacent to your home, how to fire harden your home by maybe changing the vents in that home, or having less wood on the outside and more stucco or masonry. What you need to plant 30 feet out from your home, what you need to plant 100 feet out from your home, you know. And we've gone out and we'll help any homeowner that's got questions. They can call fire administration and we'll overthrow their chimneys. We've done a real good job of getting out there and getting spark arresters on most of the chimneys in West Covina. We walked the districts when smoke detectors were a brand new thing in order to make sure everybody had smoke detectors in their homes. We've gone out and done these assessments for people. And it's important just so you know that be careful with any heat product and keep it away from anything that's flammable. And we'll be out there to help you with those type of questions anymore.
What's the number for fire administration for folks to call?
Yes, for fire administration, it is 626-939. 8824. I've got a lot of numbers running through my head right now. Let me repeat that if I wasn't clear. 626-939-8824 for West Covina Fire Administration.
Any other questions? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This is why we have these. This is why we have these. So I'd like to move on to the next. First of all, I don't know the time, but last call for food is 7:30. So I don't know what time it is. What time is it?
7:18.
Holy smokes. Okay, so folks, I mean, if anyone wants to run up and grab stuff, and then they can go back and, you know, just want to make sure that people make use of getting food. So I want to make sure to remind folks of that. So now I'd like to bring folks up to date as to what I've been doing on different fronts. And Paulina Morales, our city manager, was here, then she left. But there are some flyers here. There's a flyer about our next paper shredding event. I don't know if somebody can read the date. It's over here somewhere. There's also other information here about upcoming events. The other thing is I wanted to let you know that people have been asking about the parks. So the park master plan, the first opportunity to provide feedback on the park master plan is on April the 29th at 6 p.m. at the Cameron Center. So that will be the first, but there will be 2 other opportunities to provide feedback beyond that. But just wanted to make sure that any feedback that you have on what should be done with all of our 16 parks, please put your thoughts together and share in detail what kinds of things that you would have. Let's say, for example, there are folks online who are watching who are right near Cameron Park. So if someone would like a dog park, some might want other things. So wherever it is that you have feedback, really strongly to encourage you to provide feedback. We are making sure that especially schools and school districts are made aware of this, so that way parents and families and PTA organizations and anybody else who wants to provide feedback as to what the park should be, that everybody is alerted. And I will personally be reaching out to the different school districts as a supplement to whatever the city is already planning to do to make sure everybody is told about everything. The next thing I wanted to share is that thanks to a partnership that I've been building with AT&T, in order to help bridge the digital divide for senior citizens, there is an effort to put into place 100 seniors receiving their own brand new laptop computers. And on top of that, it's going to be there's going to be training that will be made available to everybody who gets those computers, and the cost without any impact to the budget at all, by the way. The cost to everyone is all completely free. It's all thanks to AT&T, and that was literally the result of my ongoing networking efforts and trying to find ways to add value, and that is just super exciting. I literally was in Washington, D.C. when I got the call about those that being put in. So we're waiting to see when it finalizes, but when that's done, likely it'll go through the Community Seniors Center, where people will be invited to submit their names. So if they want a laptop and training, then the training will be provided, as well as a brand new laptop. And so I'm just really excited about that, because it's yet another thing that what I try to do whenever I build connections is to do things that have no major fiscal impact to us at all, or even no fiscal impact. So thank you, thank you so much. The next item has to do with water conservation. A while back, I think I told folks the last meeting that I was participating as a fellow with Water Education for Latino Leaders, and that's for anybody who wants to serve the broader community, not just Latinos, but that's just the name of the program. And so one thing that I learned how to do is to network with different water agencies here, and as a result, I have worked to build a strong relationship with Suburban Water. Because of a contractor they had, they were able to go in and do surveys of all 16 of our parks to see what we can do to maximize water conservation, and then they produced a report as to not only what equipment was recommended, but also how it could be paid for by grant money. So that way we would end up conserving water and having the upgrades paid for through grants that could supplement any associated costs. Plus, with the water savings, that would also mean a better conservation for the community. So I'm grateful to report that as well. Another thing that was brought to my attention was the need for a crossing guard at Telesis Academy of Science and Math. That's further down south here within West Covina. And I wanted to let you know that I've been directly in touch with the superintendent there, and I'm supportive of efforts where our city would pay for half of the cost for the crossing guard, and that the school district there would pay for half. It's sort of a similar arrangement that we have with West Covina Unified, and I think we may also have it with Covina Valley as well. But that was something that was directly brought to my attention, and thanks to PD, because of related traffic issues there, where kids were in various near accidents, the police actually had a presence there to make sure to keep kids safe. And so the longer term, to have a crossing guard there, that's going to be a really wonderful, exciting thing to have happen. And then also on another front, I want to let folks know that I was invited by Congressman Gil Cisneros to fly to Washington, D.C. to attend the President's address to Congress. And so I was there in the room as the President gave his address to the country. And with the entire congressional district, he was only authorized to bring one guest. And out of the 15 cities that he covered, he asked me to go. And I'm really honored to... Thank you. And I leveraged that as an opportunity, essentially to network with various folks. And there are some things that are already in the works because of all that networking that hopefully I'll be able to announce soon. But I want to work out some really great details. But it is literally, we continue to have a presence. I travel throughout this region to network with different entities and different cities, to learn best practices and to see what I can bring back here to West Covina. So those are some of the major things that I've been doing over the past little while. Does anybody have any questions about any of that stuff before we go on to the next item?
I have something to say.
Yes.
And I know maybe I shouldn't say it, but I have to say it. On the last meeting, you tried to pass a bill where is about the monies that are granted for certain issues, for certain entities. And what you were trying to do, which was a correct way, that if someone gives a grant to the city and says to the city, this grant should be for this purpose and this purpose only, you cannot tap for something else to go pay wages or pay something else, all right? He tried to pass it through. The 4 people that were there, they wouldn't even bother to second it. And then, I will say the name. And then Tony Wu said, oh yes, we can go into different grants. So I want the city to know that this is the only gentleman that really is fighting for our city. And the only one that has come out and has his town hall meetings. And it doesn't matter what district you belong to. I belong to District 3, but I'm here.
Good for you.
And I really care, and I wish the rest of those people, the rest of the council, would do the same thing as you're doing, Ollie, which I know they are not. They're either lazy, or they don't know what to do, or they don't care. So, thank you, Ollie.
Thank you. That actually reminds me of something else. I proposed a Mother May I that requires that there be no new expenditures toward the health department without it running by approval by council. And that's to make sure that there's transparency, so that way money isn't allocated and it's moved, that kind of thing. It is now official council policy, as unanimously passed, that there may be no new expenditures to the health department whatsoever. There's already, and I'm going to say again, I've said it before, I am against the establishment of the city health department. And there's been a lot of money that I feel has been wasted already, and I will oppose any new funding for this purpose. Another dollar cannot go to this from our general fund. So I try to make sure to have that come through. That's the Mother May I that Betty was referring to, but it was not approved, and I was the only. I mean, it died for lack of a second. So I tried, and I'm going to keep trying. Because the thing is, with part of being a steward of our taxpayer money is also making sure to do our best to spend the money wisely. I mean, that's all of our money. It's not just anyone's money in particular. We have to make sure to do everything we can. And that also means looking at other things. I mean, for example, when it comes to events are fine. I love events, but we also have to look at our capital improvement projects. And what is it that we need to do to reallocate more funding for those? Because the longer we wait for capital improvement projects to be done, the more expensive those projects become. And then that's more of a waste for us, where we have to then spend more for items that are on that list. So And I also moved to have a report on section 715 trusts that are a way for us to reserve more money out of our general fund for long-term fiscal sustainability, where we would have more of a reserve. And the section 715 trusts, as reported at the last city council meeting, actually they talked about how the returns were far higher than CalPERS. And so I'm glad that that was brought by Maria Luisa, who is a person on staff who reported that. And so I'm really wanting for us to increase our reserves. It's better for our fiscal health. And I get we have a lot of things we need to spend, but we also need to be very mindful of our long-term future in case there's a rainy day. And if we don't have enough of a reserve, we can be in trouble. So that's why, for the purposes of fiscal restraint, we have to look at what we're spending and what are the long-term benefits. I personally would prefer that we spend more money on capital improvement as opposed to events. I love events, but we also need to do more to spend on capital improvement, so that way we can fix our parks, we can do other things that are more important. But that's why I love these meetings, because as you all want certain things done, I personally advocate for making sure that those things get taken care of, and I'm going to continue doing that, because all of you are important. Every single one of you needs to have your voices heard and needs to have your concerns addressed. So with that, I'm going to open up time now for this. This is everyone's favorite part of our gathering, and that is, and I don't know if anyone can take notes, but if any of you have requests, it could literally be at your residence, it could be something you see around the city. Just, if somebody could help me call upon people and say whatever it is that you need, and be really specific, so that way I will have this for my notes, and then I will follow up quickly within the next few days to address each of them. So anybody want to start?
It's being recorded, Ollie, but yeah, if you want to take notes. I do have a question with regards to the events. I'm curious, is the topography of the events taken into consideration such that it will promote the local businesses, or is it a vendor free-for-all to maximize vendor fees?
Well, it's supposed to promote local businesses. That's why we even have them on Glendora Avenue. I mean,
Right. But are we blocking them visually with other vendors, or is the topography set up such that it actually promotes visually, and includes, the vendors?
For some reason, the visual thing's not my strength, but that's a good question.
We got Matt Smith right here if he wants. Thanks, babe.
Ollie,
Yes.
I don't want to step on your toes, but this is Matt Smith from Bun Street Scoop Street.
Matt, hey there.
I could give some input on it.
Please.
When Moon Festival, per Tony, 200 food vendors came. When they're on the street and all the people on the street and we're 200 yards off the street, it was a dismal weekend because that event promoted food vendors similar to those on the road. The city, when the city plans an event, typically there is a focus on not duplicating services. So for Scoop Street, for example, they try not to get ice cream vendors because Scoop Street's there. Visually, the better it is in front of the businesses, the better it is. Kiwanis, I love Kiwanis. They had an event off to the side. They took a lot of people there and had food vendors. It wasn't necessarily a good day for us. On that note, 100-year anniversary, our best weekend in the 8 years we've been here. So it depends how the city lays it out or how the private vendor lays it out. And why I'm speaking, Ollie, if you ever want to, we're District 3, I get that, but if you ever want to host this meeting at Bun Street in the extra room or Scoop Street, you're more than welcome to.
Oh, thank you. And by the way, Bun Street's amazing. I actually did a video promoting how amazing the food is there. Actually, really, really good.
Matt has cool ones.
Oh, Sherry's here.
We'll take care of the group. We'll take care
Hi,
of
Sherry
it.
Fisher. We introduced commissioners earlier. Sherry's from our Community Senior Services Commission. Sherry, you don't have to, but would you like to say anything to everybody? Any updates or anything?
Just thank you for supporting Ollie. He's doing a tremendous job throughout the city, not just in his district. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm about to be shot. I need police to protect me from what I'm about to say. Please don't kill me. But there is someone among us here, Senator Susan Rubio, named Sherry Fisher, Woman of the Year for Community Services. And I'm just really proud to have Sherry in our city, not only as a friend, but as a leader here who does so much for the community from within Merrill Gardens and as president of the Kiwanis Club and as someone who just loves everybody. I told you she's going to kill me. That's why I need Matt to come and protect me. But congratulations. I happened to be in attendance at the event where Senator Susan Rubio recognized her, and it was a really well-attended event. Got to be with her family. It was just really magnificent. And for us to have leaders like Sherry here, it's just a blessing. So thank you.
May I say something?
Oh, sure, Betty.
Not that I want to brag, but I was also Woman of the Year.
1996, that's right.
Ollie, we've got 2 questions from online.
Yes.
All right, so one of the questions regards staffing of the police department. Any efforts being made to that? I do recall Tony doing a Mother May I to allocate $1.5 million somewhere to look at getting 10 officers. Has anything been made? Any steps been taken to fulfill that?
I don't know any specifics that there are to report yet, but that is something that we need to push through and finalize. And plus, there are still vacancies. Is Nelson still here?
I'm still here.
Okay. I think aren't there still vacancies on our police force? I don't know if you happen to know, but I thought we had a few.
That we're budgeted for currently. The challenge that we face often is probably similar to our fire department is the turnover rate. It comes and goes, but the amount of time that it takes to properly train somebody in the job, hire them on, get them through a probationary process, things like that. At that time, other folks are retiring and going out the door. So the good thing is we're adequately staffed to deal with what we need currently, but we're always trying to do more with less. So the bottom line is the more community support we have for us, and the more that we can engage with everybody here that's watching and everybody that's present, the more impactful our job's going to be. So no matter what, we're always going to be here. But yeah, I mean, the long and the short of it is we always need more officers, and we need the support from our city. But at the bottom line, it's, we're going to give the best level of service possible with what we currently have. So appreciate everybody's support, and we're just going to keep leading the charge, and we're going to hire quality officers.
Thank you.
It's about finding the right fit for the community as opposed to just a numbers game. Most everybody that you're going to meet here has some local tie to Covina, West Covina, San Gabriel Valley, those are the types of officers we want to recruit that are vested in the community. So that's just kind of my take on it.
Thank you very much. And as there are any updates about that 1.5 billion and support for officers, I will make absolutely sure to let all of you know, because I am a real big supporter of our law enforcement. Been there with the ladies and gentlemen of law enforcement during really incredible times and some tough times, and I just feel really bonded to them. They really care about us as residents. They really do. This is not just a job to them. I can tell you, they care about us. They know us by name. They know our stories. They are here for us. And so I'm really supportive of getting the show on the road when it comes to that 1.5 million. But as soon as I hear anything concrete to report, I'll make sure to let everybody know. What's the second question, Mario?
Second question is, many residents are voicing concerns regarding the sign installation for street sweeping parking restrictions. Duplicate signs installed adjacent to existing poles and light standards, etc., where the new sign could have been attached to the existing pole. Standard residents are also concerned with the resultant visual clutter as it affects the aesthetics of our city. Right around the corner from my house, a sign was posted 2 feet in front of a speed limit sign that now obstructs the speed limit sign. So I am seeing this as well throughout the city.
Okay. I'm really glad this is being brought to my attention. If there are various instances of this, I really need to see this with photos and everything for us to troubleshoot that, both with Transtech and our staff, as well as with the nationwide with the street sweeping, just to make sure everything is coordinated. That those are real concerns, and that really does have to be addressed. So the best way to do this, and the way that I've tackled other issues that have been brought to my attention like this, is get it to me. I will then get it off to facilitate resolution. And by the way, anybody online and here, if you want to even drive around and show me stuff, and then we'll take pictures of it, and I'll take it back. Then that way it'll be really concrete to address those. There is a thing. There's the California. I can't say the full California Manual of Standards where there's that regulates the height of the signs and so forth. But that as far as its proximity to speed limit signs and other things, we'll have to look into that. But if anybody has these issues, email me at oli.cantos@westcovina.org. Say exactly what streets you are referring to, where the clutter is, just all of those things, and I will address them right away, literally within a day. Yes.
Watching, down just in my area, there's no rhyme nor reason to how signs were posted where they were displayed. They were going to put one right next to my driveway entry, where that it would hit our door if we didn't park exactly right. So my husband happened to be home and said, "No, not there." And so they moved it. The sign in our front yard is leaning to the left. And pretty soon it's going to be leaning vertical.
Who's putting up the
Horizontal.
sign?
So, and I'm reading on Facebook that the placing, where they're placing signage is just horrendous.
Oh, wow.
And not consistent.
And
In
not
our street,
consistent.
there's 2 signs. One in the middle of the block where I live, and one at the end of the block, so somebody coming on from the other end will not know there's no parking.
Oh,
Because
wow.
the sound.
Okay, so, and that's in District 1. So I will. This is really good information for me to know. So I will check with Robert from staff and others, and I will make sure to put an update online on Facebook and or provide an update at the next meeting. But really, thank you for sharing this information so I can get to the bottom of it.
Is it the city that's putting the signs up, or did they hire someone?
I think that's being done through Transtech, so I have to look into it deeper. Yeah, I'll look into it literally tomorrow. Oh, they're not there tomorrow. I'll email them anyway. Okay. Other questions? Any other requests?
I have a question.
Yes.
Is the sign people the same people that are invoicing for the health department? Are you aware of that?
I'm sorry, what is
that
the
a
question?
rumor? Is the sign people that are placing the no parking signs the same people that are invoicing for different services with the health department?
You're saying about Transtech with the health department. I think they could be, yeah.
Okay.
And so,
Sounds a little fishy to me.
yeah, I mean,
Street signs in your health department.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I mean, we'll have to look into that. So I don't want to speak without documentation, so I'll need to check.
So if you, let me know how I can help you with that. If you want me to drive you around and
Okay.
lay out a few signs, I will.
Okay.
Not through the whole city.
Great. And then so as separate as a reminder for anybody who wants to become part of the District 4, we call it District 4 Volunteer Corps only because it sounds cool because it rhymes. But if anyone from the city who wants to volunteer to be of support to the community about anything, whether it's taking a member of the senior community to an appointment or helping with their yards or anything like that, please reach out to let me know so that way I can call upon you. And if any of you wants to drive around to look for various issues around the city, I really need the help to also drive around to catch things so we can be proactive in that. I want to make sure that all resident perspective with everything that has to be done, that we take care of it. And so I already have various leaders within the city staff on the ready to be of help. So I think unless there's anything else. Thank you. Okay, well I guess that is it. Thank you everyone. Thank you. And thank you Mario.
Mario's at the snack bar.
Oh. Oh. Yes, please. That would be great, please. Oh, did Angel and Alex? Thanks for being here, buddy. Yeah, thank you so much.
Take my time.
Yes, sir. Well, when they ever come back, you let me know. We'll get them. Thanks.
Yeah, there's no sense of, you want to go have some chocolate or something hot?
Angel?
I got it.
Angel! Hi, hey there. Hey, good. Good to see you. I didn't know if I didn't. I would have asked people. If you really get it out, you know.
What he does do in it's killer. It is super good.
Yeah. So feel free to.